Tracy, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm having such a good time with you. I know we recorded my podcast yesterday, and now we're back together again,
Yeah,
2 times in 1 week.
I
So fun.
know. And so, just for listeners, I am going to link the episode from your show in the
Oh,
show
nice.
notes here because it's almost like part one and part two. It's just
Thanks.
so fun. Of course, we talked about podcasting on her show, but today,
hmm
Tracy, you
hmm
are going to help us with our social media. Good Lord, please help us.
For all things holy, please help us with our social media.
You're listening to Podcasting for Financial Professionals, the show where smart business owners learn how to use podcasting as a serious growth tool, not just another marketing experiment. I'm Virginia Elder, podcast strategist and founder of Podcast Abundance. Since 2019, I've helped professionals stop guessing with their podcast and instead build a show that increases their authority, expands reach, and generates leads for their business. If you've ever wondered whether your podcast is actually generating leads or if you're just kind of publishing episodes and hoping for the best, you're not alone. And the issue usually isn't the content. It's that no one ever showed you what to track. Your podcast builds authority, warms leads, expands your reach, and creates opportunities long before someone ever hires you. But if you're only watching download numbers, you're missing most of the ROI. That's why I created the Podcast ROI Metrics Tracker, a free tool that helps you track 50 plus non-traditional metrics so you can finally see what your podcast is really doing for your business. Grab it now at podcastabundance.com/ROI-tracker. All right, let's get into the episode. So let's rewind just a little. You did have corporate experience, banking, real estate, like there was a lot of things going on in the financial space. So you're not unfamiliar with this world we're in here on this podcast for financial professionals. But now you do business coaching, and there's a big lean toward getting yourself visibility on Facebook. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, you bet. And everybody probably just gasped when you said Facebook, because that's usually the reaction they get. They go, "Isn't that dead?" I'm like, "Oh, no, it's fully alive and you need to be using it." So yeah, Virginia, thank you so much. Yes, I am a business coach in the online space, and I started building this business about 6.5, 7 years ago. But you're correct. My backstory is coming in from corporate. I had an over 25-year award-winning sales career, and that did span through banking and real estate. So I am very familiar with financial professionals, what they go through, how they can have some compliance regulations that make them crazy when it comes to trying to figure out how to get themselves out there. The strategic partners they need to meet to grow their business, just all that stuff. But I just got to feeling like corporate was a jacket that was 2 sizes too small. And I ended up, you're never going to believe this. I ended up working for a CEO. I went to work for his title insurance company because they needed market share and they needed it bad. And he knew what I could do in this area in Little Rock where I am. So I went to work for him and I grew them 86% the first year I was there. And he had the nerve. These are not the words that he used, but this is what he meant. He didn't think I was going to be that successful. And he thinks that they're paying me too much money now. And because apparently what I'm doing is easy. And he was going to change the commission structure to suit the company. And I was like, what in the world just happened? Are you freaking kidding me? So I knew right then, I had inklings of, I need to make a change and I need to do something else. But my dad was an entrepreneur, a self-employed architect, very talented human, but he made working for himself look terrible. He worked all the time. It looked like a grind. And I was like, oh, Lord, if I'm not going to work for a corporation, then I've got to go be my own business owner. I don't want to do that. So long story short, I had some really good friends that knew my skill set say, you just need to be a business coach, because people were always coming to me asking me for business advice, sales advice. How are you growing market share? How are you growing these portfolios? How are you doing this? And so I was like, all right. So I got started. And it's evolved into what I have now, which is teaching entrepreneurs, business owners, how to be comfortable online, ramping up their visibility so people can see them and hear them and hire them. And then doing that easily, though. So they're not exhausted. They're not overwhelmed. They're not, hating creating content. And then we make sure that all of that content leads directly to their email list, because we've got to capture those ideal clients, current clients, referral partners on our list in order to nurture them through the funnels.
Okay, so everybody should have just heard like some super key phrasing there that I've talked about a lot and be like, oh, wait a sec, Tracy's saying it too.
This is kind of like when you tell your kids something for 5 years in a row, and then Aunt Tracy comes in the room and tells them the same thing once, and they're like, can you believe Aunt Tracy recommended this? It's the best idea I've ever had.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yes, exactly. So everything that we are putting out there, whether it's your podcast, any social media post, a webinar, whatever you're doing, you're holding networking events where you're presenting about how you help people, whatever you're doing, you should be trying to capture emails with that offer of, okay, here's this free thing, or here's a free video course, or whatever it is. Yes, they want something in return for their email. It's kind of a give and take there, but yeah, a big message right there of like the email is where it's at. And I heard that for years before really getting, into the back end of my business. I was like, what is this? What is this? Email sells, and then there were the ones that would equate the number of subscribers you have to the number of dollars you can make in your business. And that baffled me for years.
It's not true. I have a good friend of mine. She teaches LinkedIn strategies. She has 250 people on her list. She has an over 6-figure a year business. Because primarily she uses LinkedIn and she is strategic about it. And people are DMing her and connecting with her. So she's growing her list, but she's not super worried about it. So sometimes it can work. For me, it shocks people. I've got a multi 6-figure business, and my healthy part of my list is about 3,200 people. And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's quality over quantity. We don't want just anybody. We don't want vanity numbers. I don't want to have 200,000 followers on YouTube or Instagram or anywhere if they are not my ideal client and they're just voyeurs looking at what I'm doing. That's not going to pay the bills. It's not going to bring in the money.
Thank you for saying that. So, because we've talked a lot about targeting your language in your podcast, the name of your show, the topics you're speaking on, the guests you're bringing on. So how do we do that with social media? Social media to most of us just feels like what do I do? Like,
right.
Do you like those noises?
I know. I make the same ones. Yeah.
Just like the whole thing, like what photo serves my ideal clients best? Like, it just seems like this murky, confusing, hard thing.
And it doesn't have to be. So one of the strategies that I developed when I was building this alongside my corporate job, because I don't think I mentioned that when I was talking about the corporate thing, but I had to build alongside my corporate job because my precious husband was on board with it. But also I was making over 6 figures a year. And he was like, I don't mind if you build this, but don't derail our retirement. And I was like, okay. And I agreed with him. I needed to see if I had proof of concept. I needed to see if this thing had legs. And I knew that if I quit cold turkey and I wasn't bringing in any money, that was just going to stress me out even more. So what I had to do, though, in those early years was find ways of building this online business and ramping up my visibility without exhausting myself, because I didn't have a lot of time. We had 2 kids. At the time, they were high school and middle school, and they played every sport that had a ball. And I mean, we were busy, So anyway, here's how I want people to think about their social media. I want them to go through a visualization process for like a minute or so. Set a timer. And I want them to think about, who is my ideal client? Who do I love to work with? What did they say to me when they first met me? And what did I say to them that let them know I was their answer? I was the person that could get them what they wanted. And what are they seeking? What do they want? What's the transformation they want? What value do you bring? What words do they use? So that's going to help you craft what you should be putting out into the world. And so then I want you to spitball and brain dump a list of topics that you could talk about that relate to all that stuff you just visualized. So topics that relate to the work you do and how you can get them what they want. And then just throw those topics out on paper, a Trello board, Google Doc, whatever, sticky note, get them out of your head and try to get to 12 topics and the reason why I say 12 is because I want people to map out 90 days of content topics. And 12 topics, taking one topic per week, will get us to 90 days. So if we look at that one topic per week, like for example, mine might be how to make sure your social media profile grows your email list. That's my topic. Okay, so I know I need one regular piece of weekly content every week. For a lot of your audience, that's a podcast, and it's beautiful. And they're doing that every week or maybe every other week, whatever cadence works for them where they can stay consistent with it. For me, I started going live every week on Thursday at 11:30 because I'm just going to push a button and I'm going to talk to people, and that's going to be my regular piece of weekly content.
Quick pause here because you host a podcast for your business, so this matters. Most podcast hosts judge their success by downloads or whether someone hires them directly from their show. But that's not how podcasting actually works. Your show is building authority, warming leads, improving visibility, and creating opportunities long before a sales conversation happens. The problem is most business owners don't track any of that. So they get frustrated and assume the podcast isn't working because they haven't gotten a client directly from an episode. I created the podcast ROI metrics tracker to fix that. It's a free tool that helps you track 50 plus non-traditional metrics so that you can finally see the real return your podcasting is doing for your business. You can grab it right now at podcastabundance.com/ROI-tracker. All right, back to the episode.
You look at that topic, how to make your social media profiles grow your email list. Okay, Tracy, what do you want to say live on that topic? Map out my notes. And then, now this is before AI. I feel like I grew this business in the dinosaur age based on where we are now. But I could very easily write out those notes. Okay, so let me give an example of your listener, podcaster. Okay, so they know they want to talk about this topic, social media profile, growing your email list, on their podcast that week. They write out what they're going to say, unless they're really fabulous and they can just wing it. I am not a winger. I got to have notes. So you write out your notes. What do you want to say? What do you want to share? What are the tips you're going to give? And then you can take that and you can throw that into a free version of ChatGPT, and you can say, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about on my podcast this week. Could you write me 2 to 3 social media posts that pertain to this topic, showcasing my expertise, showcasing where my ideal client is and where I can get them. So we have that pain point mixed with a blend of aspiration, and then putting in a call to action that leads to your list. AI has just done the heavy lifting for you. So now when we look at that week, you have your podcast episode. That's one piece of content you can post about, and you should be posting about your podcast at least once a week to let it grow your list and grow your visibility and make the algorithm happy. But that's easy. You already did the recording. Just make a graphic about what you talked about or take a snapshot of the person you interviewed, and there you go. And then now with AI, you've got 2 to 3 social media posts. So you guys can't see my fingers, but I've got 4 fingers up right now. So look at this. For 1 week, you have 4 pieces of content, and you wrote one. You wrote one that got you excited and made you happy, and you let AI write you the 2 to 3 that you need to put out on your platform of choice, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you are, and you're done. But then if you sprinkle in a free lead magnet, that's a list builder. That's an evergreen piece of content that's not going to change very much each time you post about it. And then you can even, if you're a podcaster and you're doing audio only, if you get brave, you can even push the live button on your favorite platform of choice, go live and say, hey friends, have you always wondered how your social media profile could grow your email list? I've got you. The next podcast episode that drops, I'm going to be talking about this. So I want you to go to Create Online Business Success, and I want you to check it out. That episode will drop on Thursday. I'll see you there. you're done. I mean, you're done. And you can even email your list and say, hey, here's what's going on with me. I stopped drinking black coffee and I am starting to lift weights, and, share something about yourself, and then also go, oh, by the way, did you know this is what I'm talking about the podcast this week? And then you've got your email to your list, and you've only created that one thing. So does that feel like, I hope the entire listenership just exhaled.
I love the idea of just like taking a few minutes and aiming to hit that 12 topic goal that you shared. And then how you unpacked it and shared why and how that actually equals 90 days of content. Like that piece right there, I was like, oh my God. Like, I think I've probably done that before, but I didn't name it the way that you have. And I know that you have some great resources on your site, and probably, I think your lead magnet is something about 90 days of content. So y'all go get that.
That's one of my best ones. People love that one because it really takes the pressure off and it gives them a system that they can follow. Because here's the thing. In order to ramp up your visibility online, you have to be consistent, patient, but also consistent because it's organic. And when I say consistent, I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. I am not the coach that's going to tell you, Virginia, you've got to be on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter, Threads, all the places. No. I want you to pick a platform, especially if you're just starting out with social media. Pick a platform where your ideal clients are hanging out. I'm just going to say Facebook is it, friends. And we might talk about why here today, but pick one platform but be consistent with what you decide to do. So if I do not expect you to post 7 days a week on the platform, that's exhausting. Unless you have a team, that is too difficult to do. Don't do that. So when I was starting out, I said, okay, I can do 3 pieces of content every week. I'm going to go live. That's going to be one of my pieces. And I'm going to post on social media 2 other times. That was all I had time for. But it was enough to ramp up my visibility, to get my audience used to seeing me, to draw them into my list, to start making money. And so, but but I had to commit to that, because the minute I looked at that topic for the week and I said, oh, if I have to talk about that one more time, I'm going to throw up. And I thought, I'll figure out another topic. I just can't even bring myself to do it. No, because then Monday would come, I'd be back at the corporate job, or like your clients, serving their clients. That's their version of a 9-to-5, right? They've got that book of clients they need to serve and bring more in. Monday would come, I'd have no content, and there you go. So be better than me. When you see the topic you picked, hold your nose, create the content, even if it's C-, put it out there. But we have to just be consistent with whatever they pick, because the minute you stop, that's why I don't want anybody doing 7 days a week, because they're going to exhaust themselves a month from now. It's like joining the gym in January and you're like, I'm going to go at 4 a.m. every day. And then by the end of January, like, screw this is terrible. The same thing's going to happen. And I don't want them to do that. I want them to build a sustainable cadence of content that they like and that makes them happy and they feel like is going to build their business.
You mentioned the whole consistency thing and the way that people often misinterpret what consistency means on social media. And you mentioned, okay, pick one platform, but the other like back end piece that I like to define is that consistency needs to be layered with sustainability, which is also something that you spoke to without saying that word. And a lot of times for me, that sustainability piece comes in by using a scheduler. So how do you feel about that? Do you have a favorite scheduler? Even on your show, I mentioned about scheduling podcast episodes and stuff like that. There are tools out there that are amazing for social media. And through those schedulers, there's even metrics and analytics and stuff that you can track in your scheduler just so that you don't have to happen to log in and then get lost scrolling and stuff. Yeah, share about schedulers, your opinions on those, if you have a favorite, how to best use them, all the things.
We use the Meta Business Suite. And then on LinkedIn, my assistant will schedule using the LinkedIn scheduler. So those are very easy and they're free. But I have some business besties that use Metricool and love it. Supposedly the analytics are really great. And people have opinions, as they do, about everything. And you'll hear some people proclaim that if you use the scheduler, the algorithm doesn't like it. Well, you know what? Who the heck knows? Not even the people that are in charge of the algorithm know what the algorithm likes. I'm sorry. If they try to tell you they do, they're just pulling stuff out of thin air. So for me, if I have somebody that truly needs a scheduler, I don't want them to worry about whether or not they're going to get the favor of all the juice out of the algorithm, as opposed to somebody who's posting organically and natively. It's more important to be sustainable, like you just said, because that sustainability leads to the consistency. And the consistency leads to the visibility, which leads to the list growth, which leads to the leads, which leads to the money. So if you get on the conveyor belt to the money, your first step is the sustainability piece.
Okay, so tell us why you're using Facebook as your primary platform, because I think there's definitely some gold in there, right? Like I've chosen to use LinkedIn as mine, just because of like the professional space and working adults that hang out on LinkedIn. But give us some clues as to why someone might use Facebook, especially thinking about their client base.
Yeah. So in your case, Virginia, if LinkedIn is your primary, Facebook could be your secondary. And you could take your LinkedIn content and throw it over on Facebook. Easy peasy, no big deal. The reason why I love Facebook is because compared to other platforms, there are so many nooks and crannies in there where you can get business growth and connect with your ideal clients. There are 3 billion people every month that use that platform. It is still the number one platform in the world. And there's so much business being done on it. So and these are the strategies that I teach in my group coaching program. I do teach primarily Facebook. However, a lot of what I teach, my students take over to Instagram and LinkedIn, and also to communities like that are housed on things like Mighty Networks and Circle and Heartbeat, and they still have great list growth and leads coming in. But the key on Facebook, one of the biggest things I love about Facebook that sets it apart is groups, Facebook groups. So there are Facebook groups. Some of them are terrible. Some of them have 50,000 people in them and nobody's talking to anybody. And those are not the groups I'm talking about. I'm talking about Facebook groups that are built like a community like mine. Mine's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible, Grow Your Email List and Your Income. And all of your listeners' ideal clients are in there because those are online entrepreneurs who've got money and they need to know what to do with it. So if at a minimum, if all they did was join Facebook to join my free group, set their profile, Facebook personal profile up for list growth, which is a strategy I teach. And if all they did was go into that group, interact as a warm, kind human, answering questions, commenting, cheering somebody on where needed, posting about their expertise, promoting their offers, getting into the DMs to have conversations with other members of my group, that is going to lead to list growth. And the personal profile has to be set up the right way, because when you go into a Facebook group, 9 times out of 10, you have to join as your personal profile. They do not allow you to join as your business page. And I understand that. I don't want business to business interactions. I want human to human interactions. So I want you joining as Virginia Elder, but I want your personal profile to show under your photograph who you are, who you serve, and how, very clearly, all the links of you, the entire menu, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, your Pinterest, your whatever, your podcast, your whatever you've got, all of it. And then I want your cover photo leading to your email list. That's the secret sauce. So when people see you in my free group and they're like, who is this girl? She is so helpful and she's helping people build podcasts and she's got this financial background and she's not like your stuffy accountant. She loves to wear a pink blazer. I think I love her, right? They're going to click on your name and they're going to go to your Facebook personal profile and they're going to see what you do and they're going to look at your cover photo and they're going to slide right on down to your email list without you having to do anything. I have hundreds of people that join my list and my free group every month because I am active in these other communities. not promoting anything, because some don't allow promotion of any kind. I am simply showing up, doing what I did in sales for my award-winning sales career, showing up, being a really nice human, asking people what they need, connecting them with other people if I'm not the answer, cheering them on, and they get curious. They're like, this Tracy Beavers girl, she's so nice. And she's got this great tip she just gave me. And then they're going to click on my personal profile and then they'll go there and they'll go, oh, she has her own free group. I want to join that. And so then they slide right down to my free group. And by the way, I have the membership entry questions up for my group, written for my group. They want to join my email list, which then I admit them into my group. Then I have a reason, a good excuse to DM them and give them the white glove experience that is Tracy Beavers and her free group and say, Virginia, I am so glad you're here. Welcome to the Be a Confident Entrepreneur group. In the group, you can do this, this, and that. Would you let me know you got this message? And you're going to reply back and you're going to be like, dang, she's nice. And you're going to go, yeah, I got the message. Thanks so much. And then if I don't know where you came from, I can go, hey, did we meet through a mutual friend or maybe another group? Or did you hear my podcast? And you're going to go, yeah, Susie Smith said your group was amazing and da, 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 da. Oh, I love Susie. She's such a gem. Tell me about your business. And we're going to have a conversation. So do you see how this whole ecosystem can work in Facebook just by you showing up and being present where your ideal clients are and your collaboration partners are and having your personal profile set up for list growth? It's a whole funnel thing that just works like gangbusters.
Okay, I love how you not just said, oh, you have to set up your personal profile to attract clients, because then I instantly had like 14 questions in my head. But you like explained it, right? Like you put your header image, like right now, just admission here, like my header image is my family. It's not attractive. It's like a very personal profile. But if you want to shift over and use Tracy's strategy, then clearly there are some adjustments to be made, right? And I would encourage you, like, if this sounds possible for you, something interesting, something cool to try. It is, like you said, Tracy, another funnel.
Your listeners may be thinking, okay, Tracy, this sounds cool, but I do not have a lot of time to be in these groups. I've had people say that to me before. Now, listen, friends, remember, I was building this alongside my corporate job. So one of the strategies I teach in my 8-week group coaching program is to pick 2 to 3 Facebook groups. Now, it's going to take you a little bit to find the ones you like. It's kind of like going into the Levi's store and trying to find a pair of jeans. You got to try on 5 or 6 pair of jeans, run around the store in them, sit down, do some squats, figure out what works for you. Same thing with these Facebook groups. We got to go in, try it out. If it stinks, leave, pick another one. But once you find some that you're like, oh, I like the feel of this. This feels like a nice group of people to be with. Okay, then you don't spend every day, all day long in these groups. No. Nobody's got time for that. You have 2 to 3 groups. You could go in for 5 minutes in each group on a Monday, on a Thursday, see what's going on, see where you can be of service. Because you don't want to be in there too much. That's gross. But you don't want to be in there too little that nobody knows who you are. So you kind of have to Goldilocks it, you know? But just a couple of days a week, you'd be shocked at how much traction you can get.
Mm-hmm. This is really refreshing because I definitely told you that I've pulled away from Facebook.
I'm going to try to lure you back in, sister.
You are. Well, and I think there's probably other listeners that feel this way too. Like it's exhausting. For a while, my feed was just full of all this political toxicity. There were a lot of reasons where I was just like, ugh, get this away from me. I could throw my phone across the room. But if there is a way that maybe we could like hide our basic feed and like only jump into the groups specific, like maybe you save the group URLs that you want to visit, or so, like some way to kind of protect yourself from the whatever reason that you wouldn't want to be on that platform.
Absolutely. Just bookmark those groups. You set a bookmark tab at the top of your browser bar. I've got a tab that says Facebook, a general bookmark folder that says Facebook. Now, in that is a subfolder, groups. So when I join a group I like, you just go up to the URL. You hit the little star there on the URL. It's all the way to the right. It'll light up blue. then you can tuck it into your groups folder so that when you go to do this and you've got 10 minutes, you go straight to that bookmark, click on groups, click on the group you want, you go straight into the group, you kind of scan around, look at the posts that were there from the last time you were there. If there's something there that you can comment on and you want to, go ahead. If not, out, you're done. Next group. In, check. Where can I be of service? What could I post that would be helpful? Done. And then same thing goes for your personal profile. If you want to bookmark your Facebook profile page, you could go straight to that, scan to see, did anybody comment? Of course, those will be in your notifications. But I don't spend a lot of time scrolling Facebook unless I can't sleep at night, unless it's like 2 a.m. or, John, my husband's watching football for the millionth time. And I'm like, this is boring, but I'm looking for dog videos. And so when I run across things like that are political and irritating, I'll just hide them. You can select what you want to see. And over time, the algorithm will start to respect that. Hide an ad. Why'd you hide it? Because I can't stand it. Unfollow those people that are just so toxic. I'll tell you what, the platforms that irritate me, Instagram and LinkedIn, those irritate me because on LinkedIn, my stars in heaven, I really gave it a go for the last 8 months on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you what, the content on LinkedIn has to be different. That's another thing that irritates me. It is way easier to create content for Facebook and grow your list than it is to go over to LinkedIn and think, can I put a call to action that grows my list on this? Or is that annoying? Or can I tell people to do, like, what do I say? How do I become a thought leader on LinkedIn? I don't have time for that. It's exhausting. And then the other thing is their groups, they do not function like a Facebook group. They're not good. They're not good. So there's no community there for me to enjoy and interact in and showcase my expertise. So then that leaves me to DMing people, which I'm really good in the DMs. And that is another strategy I teach, how to have authentic DMs that lead to business growth. But it is tougher on LinkedIn. It really is, because there's no reason for me to reach out. Whereas if you and I are both in my free Facebook group as members of my group, and I send you a friend request and then I DM you, go, hey, Virginia, you and I are both in Tracy Beavers group. I hope it's okay that I reached out to chat with you. I see that you do XYZ. I do PDQ. Would you like to chat about how we could support each other? That's a very easy DM to send because you have that thing in common. Versus over on LinkedIn, I'm like, hey, your profile looks cool. Do you want to connect? Ugh. And Instagram, I feel the same way about that. If I get one more cold spammy, your YouTube sucks and I can fix it, Instagram DM, I'm like, first of all, that's not a way to start a conversation. Second of all, I'm not going to hire you because you just told me my channel stinks. And it does. My channel does stink. I'll admit it. It's not the best. But, don't lead with that. But yeah, those platforms just frustrate that tar out of me because I don't feel like there's no community there. Yeah. And I love Mighty Networks and I love Circle and I love Heartbeat when people build on those. But again, there's hardly any interaction with anybody on those communities. Not like a Facebook group.
Yeah. And I think Circle, Heartbeat, all those, I look at those as more of like, that's where you're going to host your community, right? Like you kind of already have to have the thousands and thousands on your email list so that you're inviting people almost into like a membership of some sort, not just, hey, this is where we hang out, like post helpful stuff, right? I definitely think like the posting helpful stuff is for public social media. So I agree with you there. I do want to hear about your perspective on launching your own podcast. You clearly are an advocate for Facebook. That's how you built your business. Generally, the perspective is that social media is like quick hit, short term, like after a while, it kind of almost like expires, like nobody can find your post after a while. And so with you being so solid in that lane of Facebook, what made you decide to start a podcast? And what was your perspective there?
Yeah, great question. So your posts on Facebook live on. It's the stories and the reels that expire. I don't even know if the reels expire anymore. Stories definitely expire. But everything else you post on there, it's there. So my podcast, okay, when I decided to build this business, I knew about podcasting, but it didn't feel like the winner that it is now. And I didn't know about it. The tech, I was like, oh, no, I can't. Tech's not my jam. But I have had it on my vision board and my list of things that I really want to do for years. Because as you can tell, I'm a talker. Give me a microphone and I'm a happy girl. And I think it's a good fit. And it's global and it lives on. It's got that evergreen to it. It's, people can find you by searching for what they want to learn. I mean, it's a winner. So last spring in 2024, I got so sick of me talking about it. I was like, Tracy Beavers, you either need to make this podcast or you need to stop talking about it. So anyway, I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So we decided to launch. I created the thumbnail. A friend of mine helped me with the name, which I really love. It's called Create Online Business Success. So I feel like it's searchable. There's only 4 words and da-da-da-da. And did I know anything about having an SEO title, keyword rich show note? Did I know it? No, I did not. We went back recently and renamed all my episodes to be more SEO friendly, but I just threw this thing out there flying by the seat of my pants, which is the way I do most of the stuff in my business. But I did do a pre-launch strategy that launched me to top 5% globally in the first 12 days. So I do highly recommend having a strategy when you go to launch, but I just got sick of myself talking about it, bought a microphone, tried to find a space in the house where I didn't sound terrible, and then roped my son in to help me.
I love it. I love it. So that process and perspective really highlights the advice out there that's like, oh, just start, and then you're sitting there thinking, well, start where and how? And like you said, you're not that comfortable with tech. Maybe you are now. But the thing that I also heard like earlier in our conversation was that you started doing lives, which was like a forced comfort, forced, very quick learning curve to start your lives. Then I'm thinking somewhere in there, the podcast happened. So you kind of set yourself up to like practice as you go and learn as you go. And you talked about renaming your episodes. So everything that you just said supports that kind of like just start, put it out there. I don't care if it's terrible at first. Obviously, if you work with a strategist or somebody, it's going to be less terrible. You're still going to have a learning curve. You still might have to rename episodes, but at least you can start building that audience. You're balancing your time on social media. You are serving clients directly. And you are podcasting, and you're obviously like a fully functioning human mom. You're busy, you work out, like you've got all the other personal things going on. So what does your schedule or balance look like now that you're doing all the things? And I'm asking that because people are constantly overwhelmed by like, I'm already busy. How do I add this Facebook thing? How do I add this podcast thing? Help us through that piece real quick.
Well, I will say where I am now is not where I started. And that's what I help my students understand. We're going to pick a couple of things. We're going to get you comfortable with them. You're going to nail them. And then we're going to move on to another few things. So if somebody's trying to do what I'm doing now, they will get overwhelmed. It will be too much. But I didn't start this way. So the other thing I'll mention is that right now, currently, by the time of this recording, my podcast will be what I call a standard podcast where I'm interviewing people and I'm not live. Up until December of 2025, I was going live still weekly every Thursday at 11:30 and then using StreamYard, and we were pulling the audio, and that was the audio for the podcast. So the way I achieved the podcast was not by having to re-record something. I just used StreamYard to go live in my free group, YouTube, LinkedIn, and then we pulled the audio, and that was the podcast. So I was totally repurposing my content like we talked about earlier. I think we have to get really real about our time every week. And we have to ask ourselves, and this is just me being a CEO, a serious, tough love CEO for a second. We have to ask ourselves, how bad do you want it? I mean, do you want to grow a business, or do you want to do a hobby? Do you want to play around with it, or do you want it to work for you? And then what we have to do is look at and get real honest. What does your time look like every week? Because I had one of my clients, I was working with her one-to-one, and she was really upset. She's like, I just don't have time to do all these things. And I said, well, let's have an honest conversation about what a typical week looks like. And she walked me through it. And Virginia, there were lots of pockets of opportunity, but she wasn't being honest about it. And when I was building this alongside my corporate job, I had to look and go, okay, Monday night, nobody's going to need me. We're not going to a ball practice. I can spend 2 hours working on this business. Tuesday night, we're going to a ball practice. Wednesday night, there's that spaghetti dinner thing at the kids' school. Thursday night, doesn't look like anybody needs me. I'm going to work for 2 more hours. And our kids were teenagers, so they weren't getting out of bed until noon on the weekends. John would go off to the gym. So that left me here on Saturday morning with several hours to work. But could I sleep in till 9 o'clock like I wanted to and still get all this done? No, I couldn't. And Sunday, same thing. Who needs me when? Okay, I've got 2 hours here, or I've got 1 hour here, and I've got 1 hour on the other place. And then you set up that system that we talk about. What do you have to build this thing? Because you don't need everything that I've got. You just need the things that feel good to you, that feel easy, and put the systems in place to sustain it. We just have to be serious about our time, and we have to put up some boundaries too. Like the kids knew, I would say, okay, unless you're broken, bleeding, or on fire, I'm going to work Monday night for 2 hours. I love you very much, but this is why I'm doing this. And people would criticize me. They're like, well, you're giving up some of your family time. And I'm like, well, my family understands that this dream is important to me, and that the more people I can help, the more money I can make, and the more quicker I can get out of corporate, and then I really will have some time flexibility. You know?
I love that. Thank you. And just like a stern talking to from our business coach today. So I want to allow you real quick to share about your masterclass and anywhere else you want listeners to go to find you and follow you.
So the masterclass I'm talking about is called How to Attract Your Ideal Clients, basically grow your email list. And I'm going to teach you 4 simple strategies. Now, I do not teach paid ads, and I'm not the list growth coach that's going to say, you need to create yet another truckload of free lead magnets and put them out on social media. I teach you everything else you can do. And I have over 10 strategies that when we layer them in the proper order, they start to build your list automatically on a cogwheel every day while you are just, all you're doing is focusing on your daily activities. So in that masterclass, and they can go to tracybeavers.com/masterclass and grab a spot. We're going to have 4 different dates and times they can pick from. It's going to be the same masterclass, just delivered 4 different times. I'm actually going to teach them 4 strategies that they can take away that day to really work for them. Because I don't like it when I attend a webinar or a masterclass and it's all fluff and it's all 30,000 foot views and it's a big pitch. I don't like that. I'm going to teach you something, but then I'm going to tell you about my 8-week group coaching program called Business Visibility Made Easy, because it's the bee's knees. And the thing that sets me apart is the absolute care and attention that I give my students. Like, I am walking alongside you. I am checking your work. I am asking you how you are. I am making sure you're engaged and you're getting stuff done. And I'm answering every single question that you have. And that's why my students love me. So tracybeavers.com/masterclass. Come get a spot. Come learn some stuff. A couple of things we already talked about today that I'm going to teach you a little bit more information about, like social media made easy and your Facebook personal profile and your Facebook business page, why you need one. And then we're going to talk about how to navigate Facebook groups, even the ones that don't allow promotion. We're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to tell them about my program. And if they want to join the program, fabulous. And if they don't, and I'm not for them, totally okay.
Definitely going to be there. That sounds amazing. And again, just thank you so much for your time today. Go enjoy your lunch with your husband. And thank you.
Thank you. This has been a treat.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Podcasting for Financial Professionals. Before you go, make sure you're actually measuring what your podcast is producing. Not by vibes, not by download spikes, but by the actual outcomes it's creating. Authority, visibility, and leads for your business. Your podcast is doing more than you think. You just need a way to see it. That's why I created the Podcast ROI Metrics Tracker, a free tool that helps you track the real return your podcasting for business is creating. From authority and visibility to leads and opportunities across many categories. Download it right now at podcastabundance.com/ROI-tracker.